All right, it's the second half of this transmission. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny is coming up here in just a few minutes. Look, I already have seen this in my own life. If I don't feed my kids properly and I give them a bunch of candy, especially high fructose corn syrup, with caffeine on top of it, because they've had sugar before and also stolen some of my wife's coffee, demons, my little angels turn into little goblins. But they've got another big study out, Natural News reports on it, that inner city children have higher violence rates, blacks, whites, it doesn't matter, and that they are consuming many times more soft drinks with caffeine and all this. I mean, these kids get a thing of popcorn, 5 or 6 Cokes a day, and maybe a hot dog. Of course they're out of control and angry and irritable. You know how irritable I am right now because I only ate once today? I mean, your brain wants sugar. I'm somewhat hypoglycemic. I mean, if I get low in sugar, I get mean. I'm a nice guy. Of course. I mean, but when your kids start bouncing off the walls, when they're at public school drinking 3 or 4 Cokes and they're not even eating lunch, they say put them on Prozac, put them on speed, put them on Ritalin to burn their brains out. Not, hey, why are they bouncing off the walls? Why are they acting like this? What dyes, red dye and other things that are known to have chemical effects? It turns out most of these processed foods are really just drugs. And the system knows that. It's addictive. What is a drug? It's something that makes you feel one way, but the real reason you do it again is because, I mean, I've gone out drinking before and had a horrible headache the next day, and I drink again to get rid of the headache. It becomes a hair of the dog scenario. And that's what's happening on that front. Now, I'm going to talk about this with Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. We'll get little Alex off the screen. Bye-bye, my droogie. Have fun with Stanley Kubrick over there. With the fact that in the last 20 years, we've seen a 40-something% decrease, depending on which statistic you look at. In just the last few years, there's been something like a 15% drop. We've got a lot of different statistics, but overall it shows that there is a big drop. But also, you can look at other studies, an overall fertility drop in women, period, in the West. And then we've got all these articles. Well, we've shown you the Rockefeller documents from the 60s where they said they wanted to develop a vaccine they claimed does one thing, but also reduces fertility. They can't have you totally sterile. It'd be too obvious, so they want to incrementally do it. And so they talk about how they're developing it in the early 60s, but the late 60s, and then the 80s, they said, well, we got it. Let's go ahead and roll this out. So we also have the UN caught in India and Africa and other places adding hormones to tetanus shots to sterilize women. The point is, this is the plan. This is what the White House Science Czar talked about, something in food, water, vaccines to sterilize people or reduce it. But then there's the problem of the public not finding out about it. This is the type of issue that we're discussing. And then I did a headline today because I really wanted to get people's attention. At Infowars.com. It took us 5 days to put this video together. It's really well done. It's 15 minutes long. It's really a mini documentary. And it's titled Alien Genetic Takeover, The End of Humanity. And again, we go on to say, no, not aliens from 10 trillion miles away. Alien just means something not of this realm, like an invasive species. Like certain types of rabbits were never in Australia, and they went and overran and basically ate the country, the grass down to nothing, and because there was no natural predators to block them. So that's alien species to Australia, or invasive species. Well, forget that. They're taking, in some cases, 100 different insects, fish genes, others, putting it into things. They're making cats be part jellyfish that glow in the dark, fish that are part insect that will extinct the normal fish. They're not really fish. Humans that are part goat. This is alien. I mean, a goat that's part human, or a goat that's part spider, or a pig that's part human, or a crop that's got 20 different species, or corn that grows HIV virus in it. Proteogen put that out. All of this is going on, and we're seeing a huge drop in the pregnancy rates in this country. All of this is interconnected. All of this ties together. And we have this history of them radiating children to death, you name it. So depending on how you slice it, we're seeing between a 15 to 40+% decrease in the teen pregnancy rate here in the United States in just the last few decades. And that sounds great to some people. The problem is, if you look at the numbers of overall infertility, it's way up. Not just in women who go get a career first and try to have children when they're 35, 40. No. Infertility clinics all over the United States and the Western world are just overwhelmed with demand. As we see cancer increasing, autism increasing, breast cancer skyrocketing thousands of percentage points. The United States is now the #1 breast cancer nation in the world per capita, and it's only growing. What's happening? Our environment, from the GMO, the sodium fluoride in the water, the mercury in the shots, our environment is killing us. Our environment is shortening our lifespans. In fact, the overall lifespan has now for the first time dropped since last year here in the United States. They've just got more high-tech systems to try to keep you alive. Something is happening here. And earlier I went over those documents, just a small snapshot of the Rockefeller Foundation documents and others, where they wanted to develop rice to sterilize men. And they wanted to develop vaccines that you're told you're being given a shot for one thing, but a Trojan horse is built into it to sterilize you. But they don't want it to be 100%, though. It's a fertility reducer so that it just happens in the background. And it's very hard to trace. We just showed you the articles from the mid-'90s in India and Africa where major research firms found that the tetanus shots in the UN program were having this female hormone added to it that was causing spontaneous miscarriages 100% of the time, which had the added soft kill use of making the women sick. We've shown you these documents.